I need to wet my palate with day-old sparkling water. Yummy. Also, I did rearrange my setup just a little bit. The ring light is over there now, so it's not being burned into my face. And I also moved the camera over a little bit so that there's this space next to me that I'm going to be using to put images. And also, so if I'm looking at my script, it doesn't look like I'm looking over there because it's behind you. All right, we're finally here. We're going to start the story now. Dante wakes up in a dark forest, not knowing how he got there. He looks around, very confused, understandably, and begins to walk towards the summit of the mountain in front of him. The sun is just beginning to rise and gleaming over the peak. During his ascent, he runs into what he describes as 3 beasts, being a spotted leopard, a great lion, and a she-wolf. He flees the beasts and encounters a ghost, and he begins begging this ghost, please save me from the beasts. I am Dante and I can't do anything for myself. This ghost reveals himself to be Virgil of Rome, the very renowned poet that I'm sure you're familiar with, but we're going to go over him anyway. Publius Virgilius Maro, or Virgil as he is most commonly known, was born October 15th, 70 BCE, and is one of the most prolific writers in history, mostly known for his epic poem, the Aeneid. Not much is known about him other than he was just a guy who had his own personal dramas and stuff like that, but that's not important, nothing of huge significance. Throughout his life, he wrote a whole bunch of stories and poems, most notably the Aeneid, and then here's where my pronunciation goes wild. You know, I'm not even gonna try and say this one. He wrote that. Gregorix and the Appendix Virgiliana. He died on September 21st, 19 BCE. The Aeneid is referenced a whole bunch of times throughout the story, so if you're not familiar with the Aeneid, I'd recommend going and brushing up on that just a little bit. After Virgil introduces himself, he says, yeah, sure, whatever, Dante, I'll protect you from the beasts. So they begin to walk. On this walk, Dante is like, hey, Virgil, am I worthy of passing through the gates of heaven? Because somehow they both just know what's going on now. They both know that they are walking to heaven right now to meet Beatrice. Very poor writing on Dante's part. Dante asks Virgil, and he's like, hey, am I worthy of walking through the gates of heaven? And Virgil's like, dude, you were personally selected by God for this. Do you think you're worthy? And Dante's like, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Why are you here? And Virgil's like, oh, well, I was sent by God to be your guide because you're just so inept. I'm exaggerating, but that's basically what happens. The poets arrive at the gates of hell, and written above them in Latin is, I am the way into the city of woe. I am the way to a forsaken people. I am the way into eternal sorrow. Sacred justice moved my architect. I was raised here by divine omnipotence, primordial love, and ultimate intellect. Only those elements time cannot wear were made before me, and beyond time I stand. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. The two pass through the gates and arrive in the vestibule of hell. It is described that those in hell are those who were neither good nor evil in life, as well as any angels that did not take a side in Lucifer's war on heaven. Dante remarks that upon passing through the gate, at once he heard every voice cry out in every accent and language, and that it was just one great noise that had nothing discernible in it. Beyond the poets lies a vast field of an innumerable amount of naked people chasing after a blank flag representing how they sought after nothing in life. All of these people are being stung by hornets and wasps, which causes them to bleed onto the ground, which is covered in maggots. And these maggots then feed off the blood and grow into more wasps and whatever. I should mention here that everyone in hell, unless specified otherwise, is naked. That's just how it is. It's mostly because it's more humiliating, and it doesn't give you any protection from whatever punishment you may be receiving. The pair walk through the vestibule for a short while before arriving on the shore of a river. This river being Acheron, the river that takes sinners into hell itself, because we're technically not in hell yet. We're just in the vestibule. As they stand on the shore, an old man on a boat approaches with eyes of burning coal. This is Charon, the ferryman who takes the damned down the river. Charon is a character from Greek mythology, the son of Erebus and Nyx, whose duty it was to ferry the dead down the rivers Styx and Acheron. He appears in the Divine Comedy because Dante mixed a whole bunch of mythologies together to create the story. We see Greek gods, we see Roman gods. There are a bunch of just other random stories that Dante liked that he put in here. And what it's supposed to represent is like, oh, this Greek god is in hell because he's not a real god like the Catholic God is. So it's just more of Dante's political opinions shining through. But it does make for a really interesting narrative if you can get past the nonsense. Such a jarring reading experience. But Charon is questioning Dante, hey, why are you down here? You're alive, you shouldn't be here. And Dante is so frightened by this that he passes out. And that is how the canto ends. And that's how this video ends. We're gonna talk about what happens when he wakes up in the next one. So go to that.